want to just kind of get a sense of who's on the phone besides Ming and Tracy. Now, Ming, do you have a group with you, or are you attending by yourself?
I'm attending by myself. Thank you.
Okay, great. That's fine to know. And Tracy, I know you were waiting for a group, so what I'm going to ask basically is who's sort of in the room with you, and I just want to get a sense of people's roles, if they're all CRAs, if they're study managers, what their role is. So if I can just have sort of a sense of the audience. And well, Tracy, I think you're unmuted. I think you can speak.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are from the quality management group. So I think we have an auditor and more of compliance managers.
Okay. All righty. So just to give you a little bit about my background, I've been an independent trainer now for the last 5.5 years or so. Maybe it's even more now. But before that, I started out I've been in clinical research for a few decades. So I started out in academia and worked both sides of the clinical research teams, basically. I started out in academia as a coordinator and then research manager of a department in New York City in a major academic institution. I transitioned to industry and first worked as a monitor, study manager, moved into quality roles and had quality oversight of our vendor CRAs and the like. And I always did some sort of training. So again, I have a varied background in terms of various roles as being on both sides of the clinical research teams, both at sites as well as pharma. What I want to do today is kind of just share some insights regarding risk-based site monitoring. When risk-based monitoring was first mentioned as, the big push, everybody's going to go to this risk-based monitoring, people were freaking out, but it really was not anything new. I mean, I can remember even back in the days, the dark ages, when I was a coordinator, having a little bit of this going on in my early days of monitoring, also having reduced source document verification, which was where we're moving to with this risk-based monitoring. So now it's just a little bit more, I guess, formalized and a little bit bigger push for everyone to kind of move toward this, quote, more efficient way of handling monitoring and handling your resources. But again, having said that, each protocol is different. Not everyone is totally on board with doing risk-based monitoring for every single study, nor does it need to be done for every single study. It's really a call that you're going to make depending on your protocol. So we're going to walk through these slides, which provide a bunch of information for you. We also have a number of handouts for you to provide some background information and also some resources for you to use or not, as the case may be, however you feel. So let's proceed. Our basic objectives are up here in terms of recognizing where the risk-based decision-making fits in our clinical quality system. And then identifying the risk. How do we go about that? Identifying the risk for a project related to monitoring. And then identifying the components to include in building the project profile risk score. We're going to take a little look at that in terms of what we need to kind of look at, and I'll give you some resources or tools that you can use if you find them helpful, although your own companies may have some tools already built in that they're going to be using. And then the final objective is to apply the risk factors to your decisions regarding the various studies that you are involved with. Most importantly, of course, your monitoring plan. The monitoring plan is a living document, so sometimes we start off with something, and then we see that we need to tweak it in some way. Something maybe we didn't think was going to be a very high risk, we're starting to see maybe we miscalculated on that, and we're going to go back and maybe revise that monitoring plan to have people take a 100% look at some particular item, or maybe the frequency in terms of the monitoring. So a lot of things can change with the monitoring plan. This is nothing new. The monitoring plan has always been considered a, quote, living document, and we should always be paying attention to when we do need to tweak that. And then how you assign your sites, of course, and then the frequency of your monitoring. I guess, Ming, you've already answered this, saying that you're going to actually be involved with the very first risk-based monitoring assignment, so to speak. But how about the rest of you in terms of how many have applied the concept of risk-based monitoring to studies you're conducting? And maybe, Ming, maybe you have applied some of the concepts, although it was not traditionally, a, quote, risk-based project. So again, just an A, B, or C would suffice here in the chat panel, or if you wish to use the raised hand, green check mark, or red X. to let me know which fits best with your experience, whether you've been doing it already for a long while, or you're just starting to implement it, or you've not worked at all in any kind of risk-based environment. Okay, just started. Okay, very good. Okay, so we'll take a look to see where this risk-based decision-making fits in and how do we manage the quality. You know, everybody gets very nervous. When we're not looking at 100% of everything, everybody gets very nervous that we're going to miss something. And the whole concept of how this kind of came about was actually looking at every single piece of information that it was transcribed accurately from the source to the case report form was found not to be that, shall we say, efficient or cost beneficial if we really concentrated on the things that really were important, like the pivotal points in terms of our, you know, what do we need to really prove our study or prove our drug or device really works. If we really focused on that instead of just every little transcription error, which everyone's human, sometimes we reverse a number. Is it really critical to the study? In some cases, maybe it is, but most of the times it's not. So do we really need to spend all of that time just really looking at these things for these little minor transcription errors that at the end of the day really do not really impact the study in any major way?